Should cyclists be required to display registration plates? Paul Marley.
Thank you, Mr. Contest Chair, for that interesting topic. What's the word that comes to mind when I hear a question about registration plates on bicycles? It's the dreaded word bureaucracy. What are we coming to when the world requires people to register a device as simple as a bicycle? Where are the simple pleasures in life going when somebody can't, on a beautiful day like we experienced today? Springtime is here, ladies and gentlemen, a little early, it is here. Why can't they, at a whim, pull out the bike that might have been sitting in the garage all winter, get on it and decide to head off, to chuff off along Beach Road, just enjoying the beautiful air, the sunshine, without having to worry, have I registered this bike? Have I bothered to go to all that trouble, pay all that money? Tony Abbott and Kevin Rudd are debating tonight about elections and budgets. It's never ending. We're hearing all these horrible things about the money we have to spend, about the laws we can break. Hey, just give the cyclists a break. Keep the bikes as what they're meant to be. A simple form of pleasure and exercise. Let's keep the health budget down and encourage people to exercise. Don't make it difficult. So should we register bicycles? Never. Never. We do not want more bureaucracy. Mr. Contest Chair.
Should cyclists be required to display registration plates? Gary Harkness.
As I entered tonight's competition, I thought, what could the topic be? Would it be something along the lines of, because we're in the middle of a federal election, what would be the one policy you bring to the table or hope they bring to the table? So I prepared myself a little bit that question, and one of the topics I had in mind was, indeed, should cyclists be required to register their bikes? I wholeheartedly, with every core of my being, believe that there is no reason at all that cyclists should be made to pay registration for their bikes. As one of our competitors for Prime Minister at the moment is fond of doing, I will give you 3 good reasons for what this would be, in my opinion. 1, I'm a driver of a car. I already pay my registration for the roads, the upkeep and the infrastructure that is required. 2, I am doing something that is saving the government money. I am keeping myself healthy as a cyclist. You won't see me clogging up hospitals or doctors' waiting rooms, being an impasse on the electorate's health. And for my 3rd reason, why, as I said, every pore of my being reeks at this suggestion that cyclists should have to pay registration, is that it is such a social activity. And in this day of internet and locking yourself in rooms, playing PlayStation and everything, I think it's a fundamental requisite that each and every one of us is be social. So, friends, listen to me as I say there is not one good reason as to why cyclists should be required to pay registration. Thank you, and join me on my bike.
Should cyclists be required to display registration plates? Peter Barger.
Cyclists and registration plates. What a very current and topical question. I used to do a bit of long distance cycling myself until an ankle injury I suffered a few years ago, which means that shops. But in terms of having registration plates for cyclists, I can definitely see the benefits, because one reads in the paper a lot of stories about cyclists running red lights, collecting pedestrians, running them over, and there is no accountability on their part. It's almost impossible for the police to identify later on who the culprit on two wheels is, who did the crime. So from that point of view, I would say having cyclists carry registration plates on their cycles is a good idea, and hopefully it would make them more accountable for their actions, and in a way that it would encourage them to obey all the necessary road laws and help identify those cyclists who do break these laws. So those
Should cyclists be required to display registration plates? Catherine Swales.
Should cyclists be required to display registration plates? It's a current issue because there are so many flaming cyclists around. If you live along Bay Road or Nepean Highway, you will be inundated with these people flowing past you, garrulous, calling out commands of the ready, and they are an entity unto themselves. Heaven knows where this manner of we are above things came upon them. Maybe it's the numbers, maybe it's the lycra, maybe it's whatever. However, there is a concern about cyclists, an increasing concern about cyclists, because of this attitude. Now, attitude in any person on the road is a worry. Heaven save us from young women in small cars who dash about at high speed, etc. It's about attitude. It's also about legislation, and we return to the issue of licensing or the registration. Very hard to have a registration number on your bike. Where do you put it? On your back, whatever. Are people able to grasp that number very readily in a situation? But the issue is, are cyclists accountable? Are they traceable for what they do on the road? Yes, they should be. Anyone on the road is accountable for their actions because we interact with one another with good purpose, and it's a safety issue. So my hand certainly is very high that the cyclists do have an identifying number, registration, by which they navigate the road, and they are accountable as anybody else in car to the rules of the road. They're not anonymous flocks of lycra. Mr. Chief.
Should cyclists be required to display registration plates? Craig Halley.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Should cyclists have number plates? Well, let's think about this. The road is a very convoluted, confusing place. What you need on a road is consistency and order so people don't get hurt or affected. A cyclist can get hurt if they don't abide by the road rules. Should they be held to account based on the fact that they're on the road and they're sharing the road with other modes of transport such as vehicles, trucks, all the same. Should cyclists be accountable and have a number plate that identifies the cyclist and recognises them along with all the other road users? Let's consider that question. What if they don't have a number plate? What happens if a truck or a car collects them, takes them out? What chance have we got of identifying the subject? Hopefully they're carrying some ID. Maybe they're not. Let's have a think about if they do have a number plate on their bike, what benefits does that bring? Well, we should be able to use some type of technology to assess and scan and find out who they are. So that's an advantage. The disadvantage, however, of having a number plate could be that the number plate, when they have an accident, tears into a pedestrian just walking across the road and slices them to pieces. That's a real risk. So I guess you've got to weigh up the decision carefully. You've got to look at the pros. The pros are easy identification. The negatives, the cons, are the risk to patrons just walking on the sidewalk. You could get hit, cut, sliced. The other disadvantage, or the pro, the negative, I guess, is how are you going to police it? What type of fine should cyclists incur? So in wrapping this up, I believe it's a very interesting debate. I would lean to the side of no number plates, because I believe it's worked well in the past, and for one or two problems that may arise, I think everything's okay. Thank you very much.
Should cyclists be required to display registration plates? Daniel Bradley.
Of course cyclists should be displaying registration plates. They ride on the roads, beach roads, slow me down every day. I drive to work, and guess what? There's 2 or 3 or 4 Saturdays, don't get me started about Saturdays or Sundays, they take over the road. Are they paying their dues? No, they're not. They should be paying at least $50 a week, in my eyes. It's a disgrace. They're keeping fit. What are they contributing to society? I'm not too sure. They're just slowing down the traffic these days. Speak to Tony Abbott, he just wants to get the country going and keep it moving. What is going on? I'm not too sure. But seriously, registrations on bikes, how big would they be? This big? This big? Why is it just speeding? Capturing the cyclist speeding down the road? I'm not too sure. Would it work? Maybe, maybe not. Being an election year, maybe it's in the actual Labour policy this year. Possibly the Greens. Who knows? I'm not too sure. But I do believe there should be registration plates for cyclists. Thank you.
Should cyclists be required to display registration plates? Deborah Robbie.
Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Should cyclists be required to display registration plates? Absolutely! I am so sick and tired of cyclists coming along in the inside of between cars, or pushing past poor pedestrians who are trying to cross the road, all because, what do they know? No one can touch them. They have no recognition or identification on them whatsoever, so they're at free will to do whatever they please. Should they wear display plates or registration plates? Absolutely. There is only one way that we're going to get cyclists to actually respect people that use the roads other than themselves, and that is for them to be accountable for their actions. There is nothing worse than being hit by a cyclist as they drive past you with the pedal of their bike. I know because I've had that happen to me before as well. They go past a car as you're trying to open the door and they just whiz past you all the time. They really need to be accountable. So it is very important that we end up saying to people, from now on, you need to display that registration plate so we know who you are. Thank you.
So, if I could start you, Peter. Is this your first time? I presume not that you're quite an experienced speaker. Does it get any easier with practice?
I would say, to a certain extent, it does, because you know you've got a set time limit, and as you progress, you get practice thinking on your feet through speaking. So, in a way, it does become less of a challenge. And also, the fun element also increases at the same time.
Thank you, Peter. Paul, you're in the same boat as Peter. You've been around a long, long time. It's true. What are your thoughts about table topic speaking, and what sort of strategies have you used over the years to help yourself with it?
Yeah, I'm not sure about strategies, but I just regard it as a bit of fun, really. It's something not to get too uptight about, just relax and enjoy the moment. If you do okay, you do okay. If you don't, there's always next time. And it's a good challenge to have to think on your feet. You've always got that moment when you don't know what that question's going to be, and sometimes it's relief, sometimes it's not. But it's just a bit of fun, and I think I grab every opportunity I can to get up in front of people.
Thank you. Gary, you're known for injecting bits of humor into whatever you tend to say, basically. If someone wants to try and be a bit humorous during their table topics, do you have any advice for people like that? Inject a bit of humor into the topic.
Try and use words that are outside what people would normally be listening for. Try and extend your vocabulary, I suppose is another way of saying that. Don't be afraid to use hand gestures, and often that can mask the fact that you're not really saying much by walking around and saying it loudly.
Sound advice for us all. Craig, this I believe is new territory for yourself. This is your first contest that you've been a part of. How did you feel, first of all? We had some applause there, did we?
Well, this Renee, this was my first contest, and I'm relatively green to the whole Toastmasters journey and experience, but it's a great experience to get up in front of people, and people that you haven't met before. I think tonight's my first night where there's been so many guests and judges and everyone else, so the impromptu speaking is a skill and an art, and what I've learned in my 6 months in Toastmasters is when you're public speaking, there's a few keys, and the structure that you learn through communication manual sort of gives you the tools and the techniques on how to tackle any type of public speaking experience. So the fact that it's first time at the contest, you can fall back on the structure that you learn through the week-to-week Toastmasters experience.
Thank you. Deborah, you were last out there. You were the last one to enter and do your table topic. What was it like being out there? Just the time just sort of slips by, and eventually you're the only person left out there. What goes through the head at that stage?
Ladies and gentlemen, I really don't think you want to know what was going through my head. It's a terrifying experience actually being the last one to do it. I much prefer to be first, then I can be here and listen to what everyone else has got to say. Being last, when your heart's pounding and you realise your heart's actually on that side of the room, it's no longer inside, you're quite under a lot of stress. So as I say, it's much rather be first off next time.
Okay, thank you. Daniel, question for you.
Yeah.
Please elaborate. Why should cyclists pay $50 a week?
Yes, that was the figure that was going to my head. Back to Paul's point, it's a bit of fun. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I think this depends on the question. But I do get irate on Saturday and Sunday for cyclists.
Thank you. And Catherine, how do you prepare for a table topics contest?
I don't prepare in the sense that there's nothing to prepare in terms of words or a speech, and I think for me that's the advantage of a table topics competition, that you know the topic that will be presented to you is not designed to upset you or cause a nuisance. It's going to be a broad topic, so it's something that anyone can approach. So it's just a rational way to approach the competition. And because there's no preparation, there's no nerves. In my case, if I have to prepare and prepare, I build up in nerves. So I find it the lesser of a nerve-wracking competition.
Thank you. Peter, do you agree with Catherine over there? Do you feel like because there's less, you really can't really prepare for the topic because you don't know it beforehand, do you feel like there's less nerves surrounding the table topics?
I would agree to that at a large extent. You know, as Catherine said, you don't know what the question is, so you can't prepare. So you just take it easy, inhale a few times, and get in your mind, just listen to the question, and maybe if you're looking to buy some time, put in an introduction with some neutral words, and then make the best of it.
Okay, thank you. Paul and Gary, you two were the only ones in favor of not displaying registration plates, and I believe Craig sort of was a little bit leaning towards that as well. Are any of you guys cyclists by any chances, or do you have a history with it? If so, would you like to tell us? The guns. Sorry, that's not joking.
Yes, I was inspired by Lance Armstrong and just sort of with his battle against cancer, it was a changing point in my life, and ever since then I went to ride a bike. So I was inspired by Lance Armstrong, and still to this day his fight against cancer is something that I remind myself of whenever I'm confronting an issue that I think, well, people with cancer, I can beat whatever this situation is. And another reason we shouldn't have registration plates. Imagine the lack of stream on it and the wind drag.
I agree with that. I think there's at least 0.5 kilometer per hour going at 60 km an hour at that speed. Craig, when you first heard the topic, did you think, yippee, this is something I'm going to be good at, or did you think, oh crap?
Well, it could have gone either way. Obviously, you could agree that they are a good thing. The number of places where you disagree and go the other way. And so I just looked at presenting both arguments and then deciding which way I would go. And I know when I was fortunate enough to ride a bike to work, at the moment I'm driving quite a distance to work, but I used to love riding my bike to work. And the last thing I want to do is have to pay another $50 a week. I was fortunate to have a bike.
Yes.
I'm still looking for my thing. I don't need to have another place. So I can answer your question. The question is fine.
Yeah. So let's debate this over here. $50 a week, as you suggested.
Sorry, what was that controversial?
No, not controversial, just silly.
At least you're honest.
But having said that, if in fact registration plates were introduced, I'd like to ask our panel out over here, what would be a fair fee? Would anyone like to volunteer?
I think Tony Harris got a $70 billion black hole. Since I spoke 10 minutes ago.
Does anyone else wish to volunteer?
I think a $50 a year registration fee to get the registration number so we can identify them, but a $5,000 fine for not displaying it.
And what about an age thing? So suppose, say, you were under the age of 12, would the plates still apply? Would the fee? Why do you say that, Tom?
I've got a vested interest.
Did all of you guys enjoy the topic tonight? Did you enjoy being up here tonight? Did you? Yeah.
I thought it's a challenging question, to be honest. That's been waiting for you to see the comments. It was, I suppose, quite topical.
Yeah.
Revenue and how you actually, if you're using the road, should you pay a tax to use the road?
Yeah. All right. So I'd like to thank our contestants for their time up over here and for answering my stupid questions and coming up with them. I would like them to take their seats. I believe we are about to announce the results of the contest. So, I'm going to start from third to first, in that order. Could we please have a bit of a drum roll? The third place, Captain's Friends. Another drum roll for second place. So second place is for money. And now the big one. First place in Sandbelt TM contest. For Gary Hartnett. You could just pause a bit for pictures with our contest winners. Did I forget something? I did forget something. It's not just that.